I think that Richard Gaikowski fell into a lot of bad luck. It almost like he seems like he is very, very close to a lot of these Zodiac killer events, and he seems like he is showing a lot of similarities with the Zodiac killer. However, what I'm not seeing is a lot of definitive evidence. I'm not seeing, any sort of firm, stable, concrete connection between him and any of the killings. Working in a movie theater and having the Zodiac Killer reference contemporary movies doesn't make you a murderer. Going to a state hospital after going berserk and being diagnosed with a mental illness does not make you a murderer. And of course, folding a newspaper into three pieces does not make you a murderer. So what we also have are a very loose connection between the Zodiac cipher and his name, and the letters GYKE Geik do appear in the cipher, and I cannot deny that. And for a while, I always sort of had this sort of half suspicion that it was him. But the thing is that we can't really ignore is I've never seen him write his name GYKE outside of a Zodiac website. I mean, the Zodiac community talks about that a lot, that he had multiple spellings of his last name. I've never seen anything to support it, and having someone recognize his voice 40 years later, I just don't think that's possible. If that woman did correctly identify his voice, it was a stroke of dumb luck. That's all I can say about that. Some of the other things that work against the Richard Gaikowski case would be the friend that I mentioned who had the postcard with him, where he definitively states that Gaikowski always wrote his name Gaik, also provided a letter which, by his own admission, indicates that he was on the East Coast at the time of one of the killings. And one of the things with that is he doesn't read the letter out right, and what does it mean that it indicates that he was on the East Coast? Probably that guy's trying to say that he no longer has the envelope from where it was mailed, but he has a letter where it states probably something, yeah, yeah, I'm out here in such and such place, I'm coming back to San Francisco next August, probably something along those lines. And the largest piece of evidence is they now believe that Gaikowski was out of the country during one of the Zodiac murders. They believe that he was in Ireland, and this again is coming from eyewitness accounts. It's almost like hearsay, but however, someone claims that they know definitively that his passport was stamped and in and out of America, and that he was in Ireland for 3 months during the time of one of the Zodiac murders. So those are some very, very strong things against the Richard Gaikowski case. And in fact, we have at least two alibis for some of the Zodiac murders. The biggest thing to remember is when we're investigating these sort of true crime things, the lack of evidence isn't always the answer. I mean, sometimes it can be very helpful in cases. I don't think it's very helpful in this one. It really appears that this guy was very heavily involved in the San Francisco social scene, and yes, I do say social scene. He was involved at a movie theater, a newspaper, and promoting a film festival. He was in contact with a lot of people and a lot of high-profile people during the time of the Zodiac Killer in San Francisco. He was very connected to the Bay Area, and I think a lot of the things around surrounding him, though, are coincidences. It's just he was in a lot of places, and just to say that the Zodiac Killer didn't do anything on Wednesdays because that was the deadline for the newspaper, or sorry, the night the newspaper had to work late. That's not really evidence. That's more of just, picking at straws. It's just like you're trying to pull something out of nothing when you take that approach with something as definitive as the Zodiac killer. Furthermore, the thing about the Zodiac cipher could very easily be a dead end. It could be just a pure coincidence that the letters GYKE, Geik, appear in the cipher. And even as I say that right now, I still have this very, very strong mixed feeling. Even after everything that I have said so far, it's just like, as they sort of just said, there it is though, Geik. And supposedly the Zodiac ciphers do reveal his identity, and this guy was very closely connected to things. However, if it is true that he was out of the country for 3 months when one of the Zodiac killings took place, and if it is true that he was on the East Coast during one of the time of the murders, those things are much more definitive. Those are much stronger pieces of evidence. And it's most likely that Richard Gaikowski was not the Zodiac killer. And it's just, even as I say that now, there's just this sort of lingering feeling that will not go away. There's definitely some very, very strong emotion and very negative emotion that you get when you explore his case. It's like you can't completely let go, you know. He is almost like there's some sort of gut instinct that is drawing you toward him as the Zodiac killer. But feelings and emotions are not evidence. Questions are not evidence. You know, it's like, and right now, I just don't think there's enough hard evidence to support that Richard Gaikowski was the Zodiac killer.